Hey everyone, it's Pete again, and today we are going to do another tutorial. We're going to talk about some of the basic events that we can use in Forge. And so we're here on this beautiful Myers map, one of the canvases that I haven't been using, and now I realize I should have been. So let's get into the node graph here. I actually already placed a couple things just to kind of get us started. Um, Well, first let's show you here in the node graph menu. We have events right here. So there's actually a lot of different event categories. We're just going to cover some of the ones in the normal events. We have custom events. I did cover some custom events in one of my other videos that you guys can check out. Inventory and players, I'm going to hopefully visit at another point. But here in events, we have a whole list here, and I'm not going to, for the sake of time, get to every one of these, but we'll kind of talk about them. Um, so this first one, on game start, um, this one basically, when the game starts, so even like in Forge, when you run it and go into play mode, it's going to run some of these. Like on game start is the very first point when the game is initialized. It's before you start a round, it's before you actually get control of your player. And this one's great for setting things up that you need to have happen first and foremost in your graphs. One thing I would kind of suggest, I've seen a lot of the times doing something immediately on game start sometimes doesn't work out right because of, I don't know if it's the desync that happens or what happens, but a lot of people, as a kind of standard practice, you'd come in here into logic and drop a wait for n seconds. So you could add a couple seconds on that one and just kind of give it a little buffer before you run something. But again, this will be the very first and foremost node. On round start, this is kind of secondary to that. So um, games can have multiple rounds as well. So you have game start, you're going to then start a round, which is, section of the game, play through it, you start a next round, and so on. Um, this one would be after game start, but before gameplay start. And we'll talk about that in a second. But the cool thing about round start is you can actually use um, the round number here and kind of make some things happen. So I was working with Titan Soldier on one of his maps, and we used the round number in order to run a script that it would check basically every other game. The players would flip sides, and they would have different. I forgot the word for it. Traits. That's the word I was looking for. So, pretty cool that you can use that on round start. Um, you just grab that number. So I'm going to remove that one. On gameplay start is essentially kind of the third tier down. It's you're going to have this happen after every round starts. So you could go to round two, then gameplay is going to start. Round three, gameplay is going to start. Gameplay start is when you actually take control of your character, and so that you can have things that need to happen when the round starts, but then you also have things that need to happen when gameplay starts. So just wanted to kind of go over the different levels of that, what they do. Gameplay start, you can also get the round number there. Pretty cool. Um, I'm probably going to have to delete all these so we don't run into all of our errors. So we'll just do that because why not? But let me actually show you an example of gameplay start. So let's just use a trait, for example. Oh, traits, there's a lot to this, and maybe I should have picked something else. Yeah, for the sake of time, let's not do a trait. Let's do inventory, and let's do give player a new weapon. This will be a quicker, easier example here. So the players, we need to get me because I'm the only one in this game. So I'm going to do get all players, but then I'm going to just access the first one because by default that's going to be me. And we can do that by grabbing get object at index. So you have a whole list. So there could be like 20 players in the game. It's going to be 1 through 20. And in this case, I'm going to plug that list of players into object at index. We're going to get number 1. And that's how we're going to determine that it's going to go to me. Weapon type, let's just do a battle rifle. Why not? Addition method, we can go ahead and replace all and wait until completed. We'll just say yes. That's probably not going to matter for right now, but now, so when we run this, we should get no errors, and I should spawn in with a battle rifle as soon as the gameplay started. So now in customs, you have your intro cameras and things like that. That's all happening before the gameplay started. So if you wanted to, for example, have people holding certain weapons in your intro camera, you might want to do like the gameplay start, add a little delay, and kind of go from there. Oh, I need to get out of Forge mode here. All right. So let's move on to one of the next ones. So we're going to go back up to events. Okay, on object damaged and on object destroyed. I think this one will be fun. This is really cool. One thing that's different than a lot of other events, and I probably should have explained this at the very beginning, that events are essentially what triggers something to happen in the script. You can't really get something to happen without an event happening. And so you'll notice if you see my scripts and things, I almost always have the event on the very left side, and I like to make a chain out to the right and kind of space things out because it's easy to keep track of. Because as you do it in a line, do it underneath it, it's kind of like a list of events that are happening, and oftentimes I'll even rearrange them and things that happen first so I can kind of keep track of it on my graph. But all events or every script like chain that you do has to have an event that triggers it. The interesting thing about on object damage and on object destroyed is you also have to have an object that already exists. It has to be the direct object reference, and it has to be plugged in order to get this chain of events to work. So let's spawn in a couple objects just for um, testing this out. So let's go to props. Let's go to toys. And oh, I didn't grab it. There we go. We're going to do an arcade machine. Okay. And we need to set it to dynamic because we're going to be connecting it to a script. But you can really do the on object damaged. You can do it with like every object that you can make dynamic, I believe. Um, the destroyed one, not so much because I think certain objects won't be destroyed, even though you can damage them. They won't actually be destroyed. So for that one, we're going to actually need something that's destructible, which there's a lot of them. I'm trying to remember. I think there's a list of destructibles here. We'll grab something out of this. So Let's see. I'm digging this arcade machines music. Hey, landmine, that's going to be perfect. Landmines, and I actually think destructibles are all dynamic, or at least the landmine is. I'm loving this music, and I'm almost wondering if we should make a map where this just follows you around so that we can just get some tunes while we're playing. Um, anyway, so let's grab our landmine, let's plug it in to the on object destroyed. So keep in mind, destroyed is once it like you've done all the damage it can, it basically deletes or despawns the object itself. That's when it's going to trigger. Where on object damage, let's say an object has 1,000 damage or health or whatever we want to call it. If I'm doing 20 damage, I'm going to be able to damage it many times before I would actually get to destroying it. So just keep that in mind between the two. Then we got to just decide what we want it to do. Probably the easiest thing we could do is just a UI, and we'll print something. Let's do this. Let's print player to kill feed on this one. And the reason why is we actually have attacking object and damage amount. Players are objects, so I can plug in the attacking object to the player here, and it should print my name every time I shoot this arcade machine. The other thing we'll do, since we want to do some testing here, is let's print a number to the kill feed, and we'll grab the damage amount so we can see how much damage this battle rifle does. And then on object destroyed, let's just do a Boolean, and we'll say true. So when it's destroyed, we'll see a little text come up in the kill feed that says it's true, it's destroyed. So that should have a setup for testing these. Let's go ahead and run it. Oh, there we go. I'm switching between keyboard and controller, and sometimes it doesn't want to work with me. Okay, so let's start our arcade machine first. So I shot the arcade machine. Oh, I deleted my battle rifle script. And actually, I think because this is a non-destructible, it may just show us 0 every time. We're not actually doing damage to it, but it's detecting that damage would occur if it was a destructible. So you notice every time I shoot it, it's plugging all those into the kill feed. So that's working perfectly. Oops. And then we got our true for deleting that landmine. Now the landmine we didn't change all the settings for respawning, so it might take a while to come back, but let me do that again without the other kill feed objects. So interestingly enough, we damaged the object, but the explosion actually damaged this object, which printed our other stuff out as well. So cool stuff to work with. The on object damaged is really useful if you want to create something like, say, a button that someone needs to shoot in your game. Like, let's say you have a door that you want to only open if someone shoots a specific thing. You have it. I'm just thinking back to like Zelda. If you guys played Zelda, when you have like the eyeball in Ocarina of Time and you shoot it with an arrow, once it hits, it opens a door or triggers a chest or something. You can do that sort of concept using on object damage. So pretty cool stuff there. Let's see. Let's take a look at a couple of these other ones. So area monitors, on object entered area, on object exited area. That's done with area monitors. I've actually already made tutorial talking about area monitors, so I would recommend you check that one out. For the sake of time, because I know we're already getting a bit lengthy here, I'm going to skip that one. On object spawned, this one is, you can actually have it where based on the object settings, when it respawns, something happens. You could also do it based on when you force it to respawn using the spawn object node. So that one's pretty cool. Let's see here. On round end, I didn't talk about, but that's basically something that will trigger when the round ends. So if you want to set up something before the next round starts, you can use on round end and have it run that. Let's real quick, let's do some of the vehicle ones. I'm not going to be able to hijack because I'm in the game by myself, but I think you get the point. When someone hijacks a vehicle, you can trigger something happening. We could do the on vehicle overturned, and then on vehicle entered, and we'll do on vehicle exited. So these three, they're fairly common sense, I think, but on vehicle overturned, it's going to kick the player out, so you can actually print the player's name or have that player do something. There's some vehicle nodes that we can actually jump into. Let's see if I can get to it. So we could say on vehicle overturned, flip vehicle. Okay, and we can just plug our vehicles in together. And then we could also say, it might be in the player. Oh, attempt to enter vehicle. That's the one we want. So we can flip the vehicle, put the evicted player, try and have them automatically enter the vehicle, and we'll just connect the vehicle there. So that's a pretty commonly used script in race maps. If you want to just make sure people aren't like flipping, getting out of their vehicle, having to spend all the time and things like that before they can get back in the race. These other two, let's just do a quick UI. We've got players in both of these, so we can just we'll say when you enter a vehicle, it's going to say your name, and then we'll say when you exit a vehicle, we'll just print false. That way we can distinguish between the two. Oh, we don't need that. Let's false. We're telling the screen that we're not in a vehicle anymore. So let's go ahead and test this. Also, keep in mind, we're going to enter the vehicle. It's going to print our name to the kill feed. We're going to see if we can flip. I don't know if I have the map set up perfectly for flipping, but we'll try. But ideally, we flip, our vehicle flips back over, and we go right back into it. We would get the on it vehicle exited when it flips and kicks us out very, very briefly, and then we print the name again when we go back in. And we actually need a vehicle to do this. So I'm gonna go for a mongoose. Oh, I need to get in the right section. Gameplay, vehicles. We'll do a mongoose. And then if I can't flip it, we'll set up something to make it flip a little easier. Like a grav lift. I don't know. Okay, it's just auto flipping me back over. So you can see how it treated me as entering the vehicle, said my name, said false when we exited. It actually said false multiple times because I think I actually flipped multiple times there. And if I get out, see we have false. So you get the picture, but that's the basics on some of the normal events here, and like I said, I'm going to plan to make some more videos here shortly, tutorials to go over the basics. Uh, Definitely, if you want to follow the series, subscribe, and we'll see you all later. Thanks for the support.